think now we can start. So, 60. So good morning everyone. So welcome you all in our ECSE 303L AI and machine learning course. In the last lecture we have seen some details of AI, how we can view AI. So there was two view. So we have seen yesterday. There was one view was AI agent where we want to create some intelligence, and the second view was AI tools where it will help humankind or support humankind to perform some operation. Then we have seen in terms of problems how we can categorize these algorithms. So there was four different category: reflex based problem, state based problem, variable based, and logic based problem. So we have seen these four categorization in terms of problems. So and then third we have seen categorization of learning algorithm you can say in terms of their learning behavior. So one was unsupervised learning, second was supervised learning, and third was reinforcement learning. Ready? So now let us jump into pick one of them. So let's start first with the supervised learning, and we'll see few examples and how learning algorithm comes and how we can make our own learning algorithm. So these all things we'll see here. So let's jump into the simplest learning algorithm in supervised, that is linear regression. In the linear regression, what we will see in the today's lecture, we will see the predictor, how we can make our predictor. Second, we will see how we can minimize the loss, and what is the learning algorithm. So in order to perform this task, we will utilize this stochastic gradient descent, or we can say the batch gradient descent. In short, we will talk about first gradient descent, how exactly gradient descent will work. Ready? So if we look into the prediction itself, like we have talked about here, linear prediction. So in the prediction, there are two variety of prediction. One is the classification and second is the regression. This classification sometimes also known as logistic regression as well. So now classification, when you have an answer in true or false, right? Then you can say this is a classification problem. For example, if you are saying this in particular image is this is a cat or not, or dog or not, so your answer will be yes or no, right? So this is a classification problem. Now in case of regression problem, you can say some parameters are given and we have to predict the house. So suppose you went to buy a house, and then they say the location of that particular house, the area of that particular house, then you say the society maintenance of that particular house, greenery in the society, and many other parameters you will see, and these all parameters decide the house price. And when we say house price, it is not like just 0 on 1. It is something where we say it's like a number. You will say 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, and so on, right? So in that way, we can say this is a house price prediction where output in the form of real number. Can you tell me one more example of this house price prediction? Any other example of linear regression other than house price prediction?
So population prediction.
Population prediction, very correct. Any other example, or we can say sales prediction, stock price prediction, right? So now let's take an example of stock price prediction. So in the stock price prediction, what we are doing, we are simply, we have some data of previous days, or you can say previous years or previous months, and based on that previous data, we are trying to predict what will be the next price or next day price, someone say, or you can say next minute price, or you can say next hour price, or you can say next month's price. So it is up to us. It is up to the traders what they are targeting. So we have some previous data, and based on this previous data, we are trying to predict the next day. Now, let me twist this problem, stock price prediction, and I'm saying instead of saying what will be the price of that particular stock, I just want answer from the algorithm is really I want that the price will go up or down. So it will be either high or low. Now, is really this is still regression problem or it converted into the binary classification problem? What do you think?
So classification problem.
Yep. Now answer will be, so you can say we are giving this is 1, this is 0. So you have only two answer. Either it will be high or low, or you can say it will remain same. So maybe we can add one more like same something. So you can say this is 1, this is 0, this is -1, right? So here let me give you a different view of that. Suppose in a particular stock, for example, we are talking about SBI stock, and instead of giving the rate of, or you can say the price of that stock, we are saying we have to either buy, or we have to hold, or we have to sell, right? Now what do you think, it is a regression or it's a classification? Definitely it's not a binary now.
Classification, sir.
Right. So now again it's back to the classification problem. Why it is not binary? Because now instead of you have 1, 2 answer, we have 3 different answers. So whenever you have more than 2 answers, then it will become multi-class classification. If you have only 2 answers, then it is a binary classification. Getting everyone? So it's like a 2 different type of prediction we can do with this linear regression. So let's set up a problem, and based on that, we will understand the algorithm and we'll understand how exactly we'll solve the problem. So let's say, let me take a very famous example, house price prediction. So suppose we have size of house, sorry, and let's say it's in the square feet, and we have the price of that house. Let me say it's in the lakh. So here we say it's a 9. So let's take some dummy data. So 1500 square feet, let's say it's 30 lakhs. I think 1800 square feet, let's say it's 40 lakhs. I don't take it like seriously, like 1800 square feet you will get in 40 lakhs in Delhi. Might be in some other place. So after some time, like you'll say, sir, you have told me like it is available in 50 lakhs. Okay, so here we got two things. One is the size of house, and another is the price of house. So let me draw a graph here. Here we are drawing size in the x-axis and price in the y-axis. Suppose you are drawing some graph here. Right. So now let me say it's a size from, say it's a 900 to something 3000 square feet, and here price is something like from 0 to, you can say, 1 CR. Now what we want, this is our existing data. Right now we have this data available in hand, right? So this particular data, what is available in hand, we can say this is our training data, what is already available. Now what we want to fit a line here. Why we want to fit a line? So we have only these 5 configuration available, or you can say 5 set of data available. But suppose someone say, I have a house, the size is something like 1100 square feet, right? So what could be the price of this house? So what you'll do, you will see just drop in this line and you will say, okay, the price can be something like 18 lakhs or close to that, 18 lakhs or 18.5 lakhs, something. So it means whatever information we have, we will make a predictor. And in this moment, the predictor is a line. Now, whenever a new data will arrive, you will use this line to predict the correct price of house based on the size of house. So here, size will become input and price will become output. Or you can say price is our target variable. Getting everyone? So this is the problem that we want to solve. We want to fit this line so that whenever a new person, new data will arrive, or you can say someone came like, I have a size of 1700 square feet. So then you can easily predict what will be the price of this house. So what you'll do, you just draw a line here, something like here, and you will say, okay, what is the price of? So you can get a data from this line. So this is like a, this can be the price of house of 1700 square feet size. So means once you create this predictor line, you can able to answer size of house of any size. So that is the problem that we want to solve. So let's jump into few notations before jumping into that. So let's look into few notations. So as we have seen, like we have, one is the training set. And this training set is like combination of X and Y. We have input, or it is also known as a feature. That is your X, your output, or your target variable. That you can say Y. Now, might be it is possible you have M number of examples in our training set. So like in the previous case, we have 5 examples. So similarly, we have M number of examples. So you can say M will become number of training example. Right? So is it clear till now? Any doubt till this moment? What we want to solve? And these are few notations of that. So let's see, let's make our hypothesis, how we can build our hypothesis. So what we have right now in our hand, we have training set. Training set means the data, whatever available with us. That is known as training set, right? The existing data. Now, what we'll do, we will utilize a learning algorithm. And with the help of this learning algorithm, we will create our model. Many researchers say it's a hypothesis as well. Right? Now, once this model is ready, like you have created a model with the help of learning algorithm and training data. Once this model is ready, what you will do, you will give new X, or you can say new data, new input. In our case, this is size in our example. And what it will predict? It will predict estimated price. Right? Or you can say predicted price. Right? So this is our hypothesis, how we can build our hypothesis. So we have training set available in hand. We will utilize some learning algorithm and we will try to create a model or hypothesis what is the utilization of this hypothesis? Whenever new input will come, we will give this to the model and it will estimate the price. So now training set we already gone through, like what can be the training set. So in our case it is the size and price, this is the training set. Now let's come into the learning algorithm. What will be the learning algorithm? So let's say first of all I want to represent our hypothesis. How we can represent it, right? So in order to representation, let's say we are saying h of x is equal to w0 plus w1 x1, right? Or let me say w0 x0 plus w1 x1. Now you can say, so from where this is coming. So what we want to fit a line, and if you know the equation of line y equal to mx plus c, right? So if you want to fit a line, you need these two things. So m is the slope and c is the what was c?
Y-intercept.
Yes, constant value. That is like you can say bias to move here and there the line. So here what we want. So similarly, as I want to make a line, you simply say hx equal to w0 that will act as a c and w1 that is act as a m and x1, right? If you have one single variable available with us, right? So here we have one single variable, so we say w0 plus w1 x1. Now it is possible, like in our data set we do not have only one single variable. It is possible, suppose we have number of rooms also available in data set. You can say this is 2 BHK, 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 3 BHK and 4 BHK. So in means we have a new information. So in that case we say h of x1 x2 equal to w0 plus w1 x1 plus w2 x2. Can we generalize it, make a compact form, so that if we have n number of features, then also we can write in the same way. So let me give this some generalization to this particular format, and we can write like h of x, where x is the vector of all features, and we can say this is summation I equal to 0 to n wj xj. Sorry, here also j. So now in our case n equal to 2. So 0, 1, 2, where x0 is always 1. So we have written our hypothesis in a generalized format. Now what is the target here? So here we got two things. One is the w. So in our case it's a w0, w1, w2, and other is the x. These are the input variable x0, x1, x2, right? So what w is called parameters or sometimes this is also called weight, right? So few persons say it is a parameter or few persons say it is a weights. Now what is the job of our learning algorithm? The job of our learning algorithm to find, so you can say job of our learning algorithm is to find best value of parameters or weights. Right? So that is the job of our learning algorithm. Right? So let me give it in more systematic way, or let me write in a more mathematical way. The job of our learning algorithm, you can say find or choose a W such that h of x is close to y for the given training set, right? Then in the same time, what we want, how we'll achieve it, we have to minimize a cost function that is JW. I'm coming very soon in this cost function in detail. 1 by 2 summation I equal to 1 to m h of xi minus yi square. So this is our cost function. So I'll give you a brief very soon what is cost function and why it is useful for us. So we have seen we have to find out best value of W, best value of parameter, so that we will be h of x is close to y, right? So how you will define it is close to y? So in order to define this, that h of x is close to y, we are utilizing this cost function. Getting everyone? Any doubt? What is the cost function? Just the name. What is the purpose of cost function? I will explain why square, why this cost function, that I will explain. Just the purpose of any cost function. What is the purpose of cost function? To identify the quality of your result. That is the purpose of cost function. Whatever results you are producing, to get to know what is the quality. So let's see definition of this cost. Cost function or loss function. A loss function that is given x, y, and w, what is our weights. Quantify how unhappy you would be if you use w. Means it will say happiness with the w. And how it will say happiness with the w? It will say how close you are with the y, with the existing w vector, or with the existing parameters. How close to the y? If you are very close to the y, means you are very happy. If you are very far from the y, you are not happy. So let's go into more detail of this loss function. So here we have, let me draw a line with some values. Suppose we draw a line. So this is like some line you have drawn. Here we have size. Here we have price. What cost function will do? So this is the original y, and this is your predicted h of x. So h of x will come from the line, right? And so if you look into, so h of x will this value and y will be this value. What we want to minimize this, right? So you can say we can minimize this particular value. So you can say it is h of x minus y, simply, right? So this is known as margin. How margin we have with the existing line, right? Now, if you say in this side might be margin is plus, in this side margin will be minus. So if you add total margin, might be that total margin will become 0. So then what we can say, we take a mod of this, so that either it is more negative or positive, that will remain a loss value. And this is known as a absolute loss. Where we take the absolute value, right? If you are squaring of this, for example, you are squaring of this loss, then this particular loss is known as squared loss. Now you can say, what is the benefit behind the square? No, hx and y are not the same value. Hx is your predicted value. And y is the ground truth or original value. Right? So what is our purpose? We have to minimize this. Right? So now you can say if we already have this function, why we are jumping to the square? So let me give you a brief of that. So there are few reasons for square. For example, if a point is very close to the line, for example, somewhere here or somewhere here, so it means if you square this number, this will not be a big number if you square it. But if a particular point is very far from this line, then our algorithm will try to take care those points which is little bit far from the line, right? So in that way, the squaring will help us to focus on the values which are producing more loss, right? And less focus which are producing less loss. So that is one benefit behind the squaring, right? There are some problem as well in the squaring. What is the problem? Suppose a point is very far and remaining all points are somewhere here, right? So then this loss, so the entire algorithm will start focusing on this loss. And this particular kind of value is known as, anyone can know what is this?
Outliers.
Outlier. So this is like a outliers for us. So some person ask at the time of like first lecture, if in the grading one person got 99 and second person got 80, so what you will do? So what I will do, I will just not consider that person into the grading. Same story will be here as well. What we'll do, in the pre-processing of the data, we'll see these outliers and we'll remove from the data. Else, if we'll not remove from the data, then it will impact heavily, or might be your line will go like this, because it is take care those outliers. And your entire prediction will become wrong for other values. So we have to remove those outliers. And if you have outliers, this square loss will create problem for you. But this is one reason. Now, if you look into the loss, uh, as we talk about, we have a residual or margin, we have a loss, squared loss, and we have absolute loss. If you draw these two, definitely this is not fruitful for us anyways, because if you have few points in up, few points in down, and we come total them, it will become zero. That we don't want, right? So we are considering either squared loss or absolute loss. So when we draw it, we draw the absolute loss with green, and we draw the squared loss with something like red color, right? Now just go back slightly in your you can say calculus, which function we can derive out of these two, which function we cannot derive.
So we
Can
can
derive the square function. Mod
Yes, we
function
can
is not.
easily we can derive the square function, but in case of absolute loss in this particular moment, it is not a derived function. Like in this point, we cannot derive this function, right? Because it's not a smooth function over there. So that is another reason why we are not considering the absolute loss always, right? Now you can say, what is the relation between this derivation and you can say the differentiation and the loss, right? So in order to understand, let's okay, before jumping into that, let me give you a brief of loss and accuracy, because these two terms are coming in front of you many times. What is the loss? What is the accuracy? So we have to minimize the loss and maximize the accuracy. So let me give you a brief. What is the difference between these two? So suppose we have a y value and the corrected output is 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. These are the correct output, what we want, right? Now we can say our predicted output, let's say it is h of h of x, that is 0.2, 0.8, 0.3, 0.1, 0.9, right? Now, what we have done, we applied a threshold here, some t, and we are saying it's a t is 0.5. So if it is more than 0.5 or equal to 0.5, we'll make it 1. If it is less than 0.5, then we'll make it 0. So then what we got from here, we got 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. So when you say accuracy, it will compare from here, right? That is our accuracy. So what is the accuracy of this? We have 5 results, and out of 5, 4 are correct. So your accuracy will become 4 divided by 5. That is your accuracy in this moment. Now if you say loss will compute it from here. How much correct we are? What is the correctness of that system? That will compute it by the loss, right? So what we'll do in our case, we are saying 0. So for first value 0.2 minus 0 square. In the second case 0.8 minus 1 square. In the third case you will say 0.3 minus 1 square. So once you total all of them, this will become loss of the system or cost of the system. This is the loss of individual values, or you can say individual inputs, and once you total all of them, this will become loss of the system. Getting everyone the difference between loss and accuracy here? Guys?
Yes, sir.
सर एक बार लॉस फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर दो प्लीज.
Okay, sure. So what we have done, we have, this is the original output. You can say the given ground truth, right? And from this ground truth, we have predicted some output that is in the form of, you can say, probability, and the output is coming 0.2, 0.8, 0.3, 0.1, 0.9. Then we have put it a thresholding. Why we have put it a thresholding? Ultimately, I want result in the form of 0 and 1. So when you produce the final result, it will be in the form of 0 and 1. So we have put it a threshold that is 0.5, which are, so these outputs which are more than 0.5 or equal to 0.5, you make it 1. If it is less than 0.5, so let me say if, so h of x is greater than or equal to 0.5, then it will become 1, else it will become 0, right? So if it is less than 0.5, it will become 0. So then we have computed this from our predicted output. So when you compute the accuracy, we will compute with respect to this value. And now loss is saying how much correct we are, the correctness of the result. So in case of loss, and if we are using squared loss, so we will compute loss from this predicted output and the correct output. Getting? So we computed, so for first example, we computed loss 0.2 minus 0 square. For second example, so this 1 is coming from here and 0.2 is coming from this side, right? And based on that, we computed loss of individuals, and if you total all of them, you will get the total loss of the system. Getting?
So we calculate accuracy only on binary data, like binary outputs.
Sorry? Could you repeat, please?
We calculate accuracy only on binary outputs. Because we have distributed the output into zeros and ones, right?
So here, I think some problem on my side. Could you please repeat once more?
So am I audible?
Yeah. You are audible. Actually, problem from my side.
Okay, so sir, can we calculate this accuracy makes sense? Like calculating accuracy only makes sense when we have zeros and ones in the output. Is that the case?
So normally accuracy comes whenever we talk about. So this kind of accuracy comes whenever we talk about classification problem, not pure regression problem. In the regression problem, we try to minimize this absolute loss, as we have talked about. H of x minus y. This we want to minimize in case of regression. This will compute your accuracy in case of regression. But in case of classification, this is the way to compute the accuracy, this way. Because ultimately in the classification, you have to give result in the form of 0 or 1 with respect to that place. So accuracy is coming in terms of 0 and 1. But whenever we compute the loss, we compute with the squared. And in the lecture, we'll discuss many other losses.
So accuracy is only for we calculate accuracy only for classification problems. Is that
No. It's not true. Like accuracy is only for classification. The way of computing accuracy in this way, that is for classification. In case of regression, you will compute accuracy with this. And loss, you will compute with the help of this loss.
Okay, sir.
Getting? So this is the way how we can compute the things. Okay, so let's move forward. So we've gone through how we'll compute the loss, or you can say how we'll test our algorithm is doing good or not, right? Now, one of the most important part, the learning algorithm. How we learn those W. Ultimately, we have to find the W that is best for our case, or that is able to minimize this loss. So how we'll find the W? Let's understand one algorithm that is known as gradient descent algorithm. This is one learning algorithm. So in the lecture, we'll talk about many other learning algorithm as well. So this is one of the most famous learning algorithm, that is gradient descent. So what gradient descent is saying, so you can say, if you compute the loss value, so let me say, this is your size, and this is your not size, sorry. So here you have the W. What happened? Some problem, it's not writing. Sorry, yes, some issues. Just give me a minute. It is right. What's going on? Yeah, fine. So here we have W, and here we have our loss function. You can say J of W. Whenever you plot it, you will find this kind of curve, right? So when we plot it, you will get this kind of curve. So what we want to reach in this particular position. So before jumping into the gradient descent, let's look into the slope of this graph. For example, your slope somewhere here, and you want to compute slope somewhere here. So what do you think? The slope will be positive or negative in this side? Yes, slope is positive or negative? Positive, right? And in this side, definitely it's a negative, right? So let me write one formula, and then you will see like how it is useful for us, right? So we are saying W of j is equal to W of j minus alpha of del upon del Wj j of W. Or you can say what exactly going on. Here we have this term. This is the partial derivative of Jw. So if you take the derivative of Jw, right, so then you will get the slope of this Jw. And once you get the slope of this, so you look into the formula. This is our W. In this x-axis, we have W. Now, if your slope is positive, it means this will reduce the value of Wj. Means your W will move in this direction. If your slope is negative, so you can say if slope is positive, you will move in this direction. And if your slope is negative, so like you are somewhere here, so you will move in this direction. So you will move in the right direction. Getting how it will move? Because you are making the modification in Wj. So exactly what we are doing, we are taking the derivative of this to get to the know where we have to move, which direction we have to move, and then we'll move a little tiny step in that direction. So let's take one example here. We are somewhere here, and for example, you are somewhere here. So then it is saying it is a positive direction. You will take small step and you will reach here. And again, it is a positive direction. You will take again a small step, you will reach here. Then again, positive direction, you will take a small step, reach here. You will take a small step, reach here, a small step, reach here, and so on. And at the end, once you reach in this particular position, then your del of del Wj, Jw will become 0. Once it will become 0, means you got your best W value. Getting everyone? How exactly this formula is working? Any doubt? Guys, any doubt on this? How exactly formula is working?
No, sir.
What is the purpose of slope? Okay. So let me give you just quickly go through. So here we have one term. Let me say this is one term that is saying the direction to move, which direction we have to move, and how much tiny step we have to move. That is also coming from here. So what exactly it will say? If you are in somewhere in this position, right? So then the partial derivative of this JW curve will be positive. If this value is positive, then the total value of this will also become positive, because alpha is just a constant value. Let's say the value is 0.01. So alpha is just a constant value. So the entire value will become positive. So it means what you are doing, because you are doing the minus from Wj. So Wj, so suppose Wj value somewhere here in this moment. So Wj will move slightly here and you will reach this position. Getting? Again, in the next iteration, you again check out, okay, what is the slope here? Then you found again slope is positive. So what you will do? You will subtract this value from the existing Wj and you again move slightly here. So you'll reach somewhere here. Getting? In that way, slowly you will move in the right direction. Now, it is very much possible you are not in this side, you are somewhere in this side, right? If you are in this side, then your slope will be negative slope, right? So it means this total value, you can say this total value will become positive. So this value is negative, and if you look into, because negative, it will become positive. So what impact in WJ? It will increase slightly, right? So in this moment you are here, and once you increase, you will reach somewhere here. So means you reach in this particular position. Slowly you will move, and you will reach into the best location. That is minimize the cost value. Is it clear now? Chirag? Chirag is there. Yes, great. Now let's visualize it further. Right? Suppose, so here we have given two parameters. I took it from this Andrew NG course, so that's why they utilize theta. I'm utilizing W, so let me modify. It's W1, W0, W1, right? So we have plotted a simple graph here of J theta. So for example, somewhere you are in this moment, you are somewhere here, right? And what you want to look all around here, and you will find what is the best location for us. And then you will move a tiny step here. Then again, you will look all around, you will move tiny step here, tiny step here, tiny step here, tiny step, and you will reach to the best location, right? But in another case, suppose you are somewhere here. You look all around, you found, okay, this side is the best location, and this side is the best location, and this side, then this side, then this side, then this side, and then this side, and you finally reach into this location. So now you can say this particular location is the global minima. And this particular location is the local minima in this moment. And our target is to reach the local minima. So means your weight initialization also impact where we have to move. So it means initialization of weight is really important. Right? Now, this is a simple absolute graph where we are talking about, if you say your J of W1, W2 equal to H of X minus Y, absolute value. Now, if you look into the squared loss, this curve you will get in case of squared loss. So can you find some difference in previous and this graph? What is the good point here? What is the good thing here?
No local minima.
No local minima. So that is another big benefit of squaring the loss, that you will not trap in the local minima, because you do not have local minima in case of linear regression. So then you can start from anywhere, and at the end you will reach here only. So that is the benefit of squaring. Getting everyone? Now there is one value, that is alpha. What alpha will do, alpha will decide how, you can say, how long step you have to jump, right? So if your alpha value is very small, you are moving very tiny step ahead, very slow speed. So by the time you reach here, maybe you required 1,000 iteration or 2,000 iteration or 10,000 iteration, right? So if your alpha value is very small, your convergence will be very slow. But if your alpha value is very large, then might be you will overshoot. So you will jump from here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here, and you will never converge. You will fail to converge, right? Even you can go in the opposite direction. So it means alpha is playing very, very important role, and alpha is known as learning rate. So we have to find out a good alpha value. So in the theory, we found like 0.01 is a good alpha value to start with. Then we can experiment, move slightly positive, higher value, slightly negative value, and we'll see what is the impact in our algorithm. Getting it, everyone? Any doubt till this moment? Correct. So now in the next lecture, we will see how exactly we will get this term, first of all, from where you will derive this particular del of partial derivative of JW. And then we'll jump into the some more detailed concept. So here we have only linear values. So always linear is not useful. Might be sometimes quadratic is more useful. Sometimes your sine wave is more useful. So we'll see more of that into the next lecture, along with how, from where you will get this exact value. Okay, guys. So thank you, and we'll catch you in the next lecture on Monday. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Or any supportive comment you want to make, please feel free to say. Okay, so then we'll catch you on Monday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.